The house has been around since 1856, built by a merchant named Thomas Whaley. Some people say Thomas Whaley still lives here, in spirit. We visited at night, naturally. That's when you'd expect spirits to come out. The Whaley House is a museum now, and June Redding has been the director for almost 25 years. A very pleasant, very rational woman who is convinced the Whaley House is haunted. There is no doubt in your mind, is there, that there are spirits in this house?
Oh, definitely. I think they'll always be here. I don't believe that they're going to leave. I think they're tied to this house.
She says the spirits are friendly. They never bother people, but she says they are present. The consensus is that there are 4 main spirits: Thomas Whaley, his wife Anna, a little girl who used to play with the Whaley children, and a sailor named Yankee Jim Robinson. Yankee Jim was hanged for stealing a boat in 1852, 4 years before the Whaley House even existed, but the gallows stood right here, where the downstairs archway of the house was later built. Theory is that he's still
his spirit supposedly permeates this house. It's manifested sometimes by footsteps, by walking.
What did you think when you first heard those footsteps?
Well, I really wanted to ignore them, to be very frank about it.
But the sounds were hard to ignore. They were persistent.
And sometimes we would hear a sound of someone descending the stairs. Never came to the bottom of the stairs, but it would fade out.
There have been other phenomena hard to explain. Mrs. Redding and others have heard music. The Whaleys loved music. There have been smells.
We get a wonderful perfume, which I think is French and belonged to Mrs. Whaley. We get a fragrance of violets, like dusting powder from the girls' room upstairs here.
And several times the smell of cigars. And no smoking is allowed in the Whaley House.
No, and the smell will travel. You will swear someone's walking and smoking toward the front door.
Several times, especially around the holidays, there's been the smell of cooking. No one cooks in the Whaley House anymore. We didn't encounter any strange smells while we were there. We didn't see any apparitions, but sounds, well, at one point, our audio man, Rick Corcoran, heard a scratching noise in his earphones.
I was going to check the mic and see if it was something wrong with the mic box, but
why don't you do that?
It hasn't been there all night.
It just started?
Yeah.
He checked the mics. They seemed okay.
Didn't appear to be anything wrong with the mic.
But it sounded scratchy.
I heard some scratches there. Hadn't been there all evening.
And then there is the matter of the 9th step. You see, there's a courtroom in the Whaley House. It was the county seat from 1869 to 1871. County records were kept here. But the city fathers decided to move the records. Whaley resisted that idea. So in 1871, some men broke into the house and took the records. Anna Whaley heard the commotion, went to investigate, and was standing on the 9th step of the staircase when she was confronted by the men. They had a gun. They threatened her and her children. And to this day, on that 9th step, the air suddenly becomes much colder, really. It might just be a draft, but it is definitely colder.
I feel a cool...
You feel coolness there, don't you?
updraft.
That's right. If warm air rises, what are we getting a cool updraft for?
There is a spot downstairs where June Redding is convinced something happened in the past. She says very often she can feel an invisible shield.
Right there, and sometimes it hits you. It'll hit you in a strange way. You'll get a real strong chill from it.
I couldn't feel a shield, but it did feel colder suddenly. Legends have grown up around the Whaley House. There are stories of screams, of bolted windows suddenly flying open. June Redding has witnessed none of that, but once she says she and another woman heard a man's laughter right behind them. It was loud, and there was no one there, except she thinks the ghost of Thomas Whaley. Proof of all this? Well, it's hard to come by. There are photographs that appear to show some kind of apparition. Then again, they might be shadows or reflections. The only real proof is to see or hear or smell something. June Redding has heard and smelled. Others claim to have seen. And they are convinced that even when the doors are locked, the lights are off, and all the people have left, this beautiful old house is still occupied.